rideshare driver and a member of We Drive Progress.
Yeah.
I've been out of work for over a year now because of my high-risk status. I and countless other drivers have been faced with an impossible choice. We either keep driving to make ends meet, and we put ourselves at risk of getting sick or even dying. It has not been an easy year. Yes. Right now, there is hope with more and more people getting vaccinated, but drivers are still at risk because our jobs require us to interact with an incredible amount of people. And it's not just the pandemic which puts us at risk. Our bodies are at risk because of our job. We are not provided safety and protections against violence and harassment. We don't have access to clean, safe bathrooms. Imagine driving for hours and sometimes through the night without access to a clean toilet and running water, soap, or even privacy when we do find a bathroom. As gig workers, we put our health and our bodies on the line every day. We're here to demand protections and to call Uber out for its broken promises to support us gig workers that make them billions. Last month, we surveyed hundreds of drivers across California and released the first analysis of how gig companies, sorry, it's a little feedback. Last month, we surveyed hundreds of drivers across California and released the first analysis of how gig companies exclude riders and drivers from the promised health care stipend. Gig companies promise health care and more transparency in their $220 million Yes on Proposition 22 campaign. They promise independence and control over how and when we do our jobs. But what did we get, guys? What did we get? Lies, lies. Drivers reported confusion regarding the health care benefit, with 66% reporting they had not been given enough information from their employers about how to even apply for the stipend, and 60% reporting that they have not been given adequate information about which drivers are eligible. The majority of gig workers are uninsured or underinsured, and only 14% are receiving the health care subsidy that we were guaranteed from these companies. Boo. I can't hear you guys. We're here today to make a statement. The Proposition 22 healthcare stipend is just another example of the way the gig economy passes cost on to us workers, customers, and taxpayers. Drivers are already faced with incredible, challenging working conditions during this pandemic. It is shameful that gig companies make us jump through hoops and create obstacles to deny us what we're owed. Today, we are demanding that these gig companies meet the minimum requirements for engaged time working, as well as compensation for cleaning materials and humane treatment from these billion-dollar companies. Would you guys agree? Today, I am joined by fellow gig workers, community, and political allies. We're here to say, protect gig workers, not profits. Can you guys say it? Protect gig workers, not profits.
Keep breaking, and especially with the healthcare stipend, I got rejected as well, and I thought that was what they promised in Prop 22. So I'm here to stand with other drivers, and I definitely need for them to be responsible.
And what did that mean when they changed their, what exactly did they do to lie to you, and they promised?
So they said that if you're working engaged 15 or 25 hours, they give us healthcare stipend. And I did, and I got an invitation, and then they told me to show the card healthcare insurance card, and then they said this doesn't work for them, and it doesn't make sense. I feel like that's a bait and switch. And I feel very deceived.
What is the healthcare stipend? What is that?
So the healthcare stipend is they provide. So if you're driving for 15, engaged 15 hours, they provide $600 towards healthcare, the bills that we have. And if you're working 25 hours of engaged time, they give about $1,200. So that money they provide for us to pay our healthcare bills.
And
Yes.
how do you take care of your healthcare?
So right now I have Medi-Cal. So they said that they cannot take Medi-Cal, but the problem is my friend was saying, you have a Medi-Cal, you're not paying, so why would you want, but the point is not that I want to have a health care and I can't afford and have a Medi-Cal. If they reimburse saying, okay, you drive 25 hours, I got invited to get $1,200, towards that I can pay a health care and have a better quality of service. So these companies just close that opportunity. And so many of my friends, drivers, they're immigrants as well, like me, and we're struggling, and many of them have Medi-Cal, and many of them don't have health insurance. So if we don't have that, so that means these two categories, they're not gonna provide anything, and that doesn't make sense. I thought that was the point, is to give insurance to people who don't have it. So the law that passed, just the language, they said, okay, if you're working this engaged time, we'll provide, but they didn't say that, okay, if you're Medi-Cal or if you don't have health insurance. So I think that was their way of saying sweet stuff and just deceive the drivers. I think many drivers voted yes because of that, because they thought, okay, I can get a health insurance finally.
And so who's paying? The public? Medi-Cal is paid for by the public?
Yes, the government. Yes, the government. So again, they are depending on the government to pay us, and they're not having responsibility of their own.
Socialism for the rich?
Yes, just like unemployment. They don't want to pay. They're making the California government pay for the driver. Same thing. So again, they're saving a lot of money by lying.
The taxpayer is paying for your healthcare rather than the company.
Yes.
And how much are these companies making?
Billions. They're billionaires. When we work all day just to make enough to pay or try to pay rent and bills, they live in $1 billion homes sitting there. So I hope that the CEO hears about drivers who work so hard for him. No, it's been hard. So it's always overtime. Many of us are working overtime, way more than 10 hours per day, and then we have to work at least 5 or 6 days to work, and only one day left. Probably most of us only just have sleeping to recover ourselves. Yes.
How do you survive in San Francisco?
So me, I just work early morning to late night, and that's all I can do. So that's why the healthcare matters more, because it's physically, mentally hard, and we have to go through a lot of gigs to make certain money. So because one price is very cheap, so and all that it's not healthy. It's not healthy, but we have to support families, and we have to pay bills, and we have to live in San Francisco. So that's life. But that's why I'm here, because I want to change, and I want many drivers. I want to be with other drivers to fight together. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
What's your name?
My name is Makila Edwards. What are you?
Talk about the issues.
Well, I'm here to support drivers right now. I have not returned back to work, but I've been off of work since the pandemic hit. And we fought really hard to tell the public about how Proposition 22 would harm us. And it's just very disappointing that after all this time, and with all those promises of being more transparent with drivers and supporting drivers more, that they're not following through with their promises. drivers are making less. They have to work longer, and to top it all off, even though they're meeting the requirements for the healthcare stipend, they are not getting it, and that's just out. That is just it's not. I lost my train of thought.
Fraud?
Yeah, it's definitely fraud. They purchased a law of their own, and they're still not abiding by that law.
How have you survived?
I've been struggling with unemployment for all this time. It's like a roller coaster ride, right? There's some ups and there's some downs, but it's consistent problems, and I just have to keep communicating and calling unemployment when things are going wrong. So I'm barely getting by.
People are trying to survive and they're not getting the unemployment. Is
Yeah.
the system broken? I mean, it sounds crazy.
It sounds like the system is broken. It sounds like whatever programming or software that they're using, it is not up to date, and it is causing a lot of problems, especially when there is an extension filed by the government, by the federal government. That's where it seems like people stop getting paid, and it becomes, just awful. I wasn't paid for 6 weeks, and it really hurt me. The system automatically put me in something where I was actually getting half of what my award was supposed to be, and then that went on for 6 weeks, and then the next 6 weeks I had no money, and I had a lot of losses, and I just wanted to recover and return back to work.
So people's lives have been destroyed.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can attest to that. It's just really hard, like trying to, even if we're late with our pay, being that sometimes we don't have the money, when we're late with our payments or our account is overdrawn because we're expecting to have money, we have to pay those fees. And so, I had a guy in the unemployment department actually tell me, well, you're going to get paid everything, you just have to be patient. But unfortunate for me, I have tons of fees that I'm going to have to pay until they get it right. So
Who should pay for that? Governor Newsom?
I believe so. I am trying right now to see if I can get a letter to show to creditors that a lot of times what was happening to me was not my fault. It was because unemployment was not paying me and not paying me correctly, and long periods of waiting. And companies and credit companies and all those things, they're not as patient as they were when the pandemic first hit. A lot of times what they're saying is we no longer have those things that we offered in the past, and plus things are getting back to normal. Well, they've been saying that things are getting back to normal since March, and California doesn't even officially open up until June 15th. So it's been hard, and I feel like I will continue to reach out to the governor to ask for something in writing that I can show to my creditors to explain what's happened to me this year, because I did lose a lot, and it was very personal to me.
I'm here to fight for fair. What?
What's your name?
Ryan. I'm here to help fight for living wages, fair benefits. Basically, without us, Uber and other gig companies have no product, and we deserve to be treated in such a way that we can live off of our labor, just like anyone else.
And how do you feel you've been mistreated?
I feel that we've seen the industry organize and take away the same types of benefits that would be given to fast food employees, the same fast food employees we deliver for every day. And that's not right. It's not right that you can buy your own rules in the system. Prop 22 should have never been on the ballot in the first place.
You think it was was it factual what they were putting out Prop 22?
It was factual in the wrong kind of way. People don't realize that over 50% of Uber X trips were serviced by less than a third of their drivers. So a very small group of professional drivers actually make up most of their, like a majority of their products. So while the information being put out was factual, it was slanted in such a way that people couldn't understand the misinformation.
And they said that they would provide health care benefits. What is the reality of that? Talk about the health care benefits.
So, with the healthcare benefits, they've created such a string of loopholes, they're able to get out of paying. So only 14% of drivers, according to a recent survey, that were eligible. So from the pool of people who hit the 195 or 300 quarterly hours, only 14% of those folks actually received a stipend payout, and that's due to a variety of circumstances. It could be because they're already so poor they're receiving state assistance, which is not right in and of itself, but like these payments should be going into the driver's pockets. People were completely misled thinking that when they hit that button on their app, their driver is handled, and that's just not the case. So we're getting the truth out there. So I have been doing gig economy work since mid-September of 2019. I drove as an Uber driver I drove as a Uber driver throughout 2020 as a diamond driver, which is actually a very rare and hard to accomplish feat. And then in January of 2021, as California was moving into this deep lockdown state, I switched over to doing door dashing and then back onto the Uber platform as Uber Eats. So it's not my preferred line of work, but it is what's available. I'm able to make it work, but I'm quite the rarity.
I love that. Right? How do you live in San Francisco?
I don't. I live in downtown Oakland, in an SRO, a very small one.
Just survival.
Right. This city will shape you and push you in ways you can't imagine. Okay, good. And while the stresses have made me into a more resilient individual, it is of course always getting harder. And my payments could change on a weekly basis based off of whatever promotionals machine learning algorithm decides to give me, which is, again, not consistent to build a life off of.
So the algorithm, what is that?
So Uber, DoorDash, and a lot of other platforms use data and machine learning algorithms in order to set their promos in such a way that you might not be able to hit them, but you'll get very close. But if you hit them, you get big payouts. Sometimes those promos just don't show up. It's all based on market demand. Which is a shame because when that happens, you actually work longer hours for less pay.
And promos, what are those?
So in order to get more drivers onto the road on a particular day, they'll set the promos to a certain level. So Uber will have, weekly promos. DoorDash does daily ones where it's a per trip. It's all different types of systems. It's like a video game you have to learn, except you don't get paid if you don't learn it.
It sounds crazy.
Yes. Very much so.
So the algorithm is your boss?
Well, yes, and a customer service department, also my boss. But, it is.
And, if you're not getting the healthcare benefits, and the state is paying for it, the public is paying for your benefits?
That's correct. You're essentially paying twice because Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, they're all saying that they're collecting extra in order to pay out to the drivers, and now they've got I can only presume they have some form of a surplus. This Prop 22 scam is probably paying out even better than they thought they were. So
they're getting richer.
Right, and it's like they don't even want to have a real conversation about this sort of policy proposal. They want to roll it out to all 50 states. But they aren't even revealing their numbers. They aren't bragging about it, which means that the survey results are probably only the tip of the iceberg. It's probably much worse.
In the year 2019, I suffered an accident on the East Bay Bridge. A lot of people know that when you drive underneath the eastbound lanes, that the signal from your computer or your phone is sometimes cut off. So as a result of that, I was rear-ended by a large construction vehicle. I had a broken shoulder, back injury, and I was unable to drive for almost 3-4 months. Now, this isn't about Alan going, no, not at all. It's about something that can happen to each and every one of us and our associates. Do you know when I reported this accident to Lyft? They said, oh, Alan, so sorry, you're going to have to turn to your own private insurance or get a lawyer or, get a life. because we're not helping you, Alan, because you weren't on engaged time. Oh my! Yeah, boo! Boo! Okay, I am a human being. We are all human beings. I am not a computer system. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, when you call in with your complaints, when you call in with your concerns about your daily safety, we are relegated to computer variables. A lot of times, even if you get a good person on the help desk, they say, well, you know, I had to check in the system. Yeah, that's great. And the system basically is there to deny us our rights. So ongoing in my situation, I couldn't work for 3 months. I couldn't get the surgery that I needed. And my fellow driver, Hector, over there, suffered a similar fate. We both broke our shoulders. And a lot of people think, oh, okay, so you broke your shoulder, big deal, what a big deal about that? Well, guess what? You're not safe to drive with a broken shoulder, are you? Yeah, and if you're not safe to drive, how do you feed your family and pay your bills and go on with your life? And that's why we're all here today, ladies and gentlemen, to really think about and spread the word of the way that these large gig companies have usurped our essential worker rights. We're essential workers! Yeah! Would you treat a doctor or a nurse like they've treated us? No, you would not. Would you treat a policeman or a fireman? I want to thank the police and fire for their outreach and being here with us today as well. Okay? And so basically, what I want to say is that we have programs that are designed to help us now, but does anybody feel like I do that really the information is really poorly distributed to us? You know, how do we know about the stipend? I mean, did you get anybody out there get a letter in the mail? Oh, wow, what about that, huh? Love you all. You're the best group I've ever worked with, and I'm so thankful for all of you. But keep fighting!